Hey everyone, my name is Szymanski. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. About 7 months or so ago, I made a video about Azlo, just kind of me talking, giving my initial thoughts of the product. I've been on the platform for a while. I know there's a lot of people out there that watch that video and just in general have more questions about Azlo specifically as an online bank. So I just wanted to make this quick video as a follow-up to that to show what the online application process is like and also what the UI is once you do have an account and you're able to be on the platform. I think that this is going to be really valuable for anybody that's thinking about using Azlo. We'll kind of try to go over some of the features and things like that. But more than anything, I think myself included, I like to know what I'm getting into before I have to go and sign up and make an account and everything. So that is the goal of this video. I'm going to show some footage actually from back then, around the time that I filmed that video, of me signing up for one of the accounts that I have, and then I'll log in for real today and just kind of see what the UI is like. But most of the stuff should be very similar if you were to jump on and make an account today. So without further ado, let's just get into it and see what it's all about. Okay, so if you go to Azlo.com and you click on the top right-hand corner where it says Start for Free, you're going to be greeted with something that looks like this, Get Started page, where you create your own login. And again, I want to reiterate this right now for the last time. If you are following along at home currently in December of 2020 or later, this footage is actually from earlier on in the year, 2020. These are screenshots that I'm going to commentate over, and it's probably the same process, but I know that Azlo changed their UI a little bit, so it might look a little different. But again, just follow the process, and again, if we're following along here, I'm sure it's going to be quite similar. So let's get into it. The first thing you want to do is create your login. So you're going to want to put a business email in there and a password. They have their security requirements for the password. And again, just I would say your best business email, right? So once you do that, you can go ahead and press next. And once you have that information in there, they're going to send you a verification email. You just pop the code in there and go ahead and press next. The next thing they ask you is some personal info just about you, not your business yet. So you're going to put your first name, last name, and your citizenship. Once you select a citizenship, there will probably be more options. Obviously, I'm in the United States, so it asks for my social security number, date of birth, home address, apartment, suite number, city, state, zip code, you get the idea, and then mobile number. Now, one thing that I want to hit on here real quick, because it did affect me, and I think it'll probably affect a lot of other people. I've noticed this all over the business space. A lot of banks and financial institutions and all sorts of businesses occasionally will not accept a VoIP phone number. If you have a regular phone number, a Verizon, AT&T, or whatever, then it shouldn't affect you and you should probably be fine. But I have a Google Voice number that I use for my businesses. I would recommend it. It's cheap. You don't have to get another phone. It's just like an app on your phone. But I put that number in the mobile phone number here, and that is the best part probably at all about Azlo, is that it takes that number not only for one account. Some, again, like I said, some don't even accept VoIP numbers. They won't send the verification code. It says it can't do it or whatever for whatever reason. It might be a security thing. But the point is that it takes it for not only one account, but multiple accounts. So you can use that same phone number to verify, which I think is a great feature because there's no reason that you need to have multiple different phone numbers for all this different stuff. Everybody has email. That seems great. But that's a point that I wanted to make there because it did affect me. It'll probably affect some other people. And just go ahead and fill all that in there and then go ahead and press next. And once you go ahead and do that, it's going to ask you for a phone verification. So go ahead and do that. You can do message or you can do call, press verify, and we're on to the next step. Okay, so now since they know a little bit more about you, they want to know about your business because this is a business account, obviously. Go ahead and throw in your business type, your ownership percentage, and your title. Depending on what you fill out for those pieces of information, there's going to be more. So for instance, for me, I had LLC, so it's going to ask me my legal business name, DBA, what the name on the debit card is going to say, which kind of autofills from the legal business name. I actually put in a DBA, which is optional, and I don't necessarily have one, but I wanted the card to say a certain thing. I don't really think it matters. Do not quote me. I'm not a lawyer, but that is what I did there. And then it asks you for your business phone number, which is mobile or different home, I guess, or work or something like that, whatever the label is, the date that your business was established, and your EIN or TIN, whatever your business identification number is, which obviously is optional because if you're a sole proprietor, it'd probably just be your SSN. But again, just business information, go ahead and enter all that in there. Again, that business phone number can be the same as before. It can be a VoIP number, which is fantastic. And you should have all this information here. But again, I just want to kind of give you the transparency. And once you're done with all of that, go ahead and press next. Okay, so now some more information about your business, specifically the physical business addresses where you work from day to day. I work out of my home, so I just checked that box, but you could put an alternate address in there. And where they're getting that information there when you press I work from home is the initial information that you put in for your personal stuff, so that'll just populate that there. And then this one is interesting as well. So you can add an alternate address. I'm assuming if you had 2 shops or you had, 2 stores or whatever, you could put that in there. What I did though was I checked that box and I put our registered agent in there. Just because registered agents, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it has something to do with if you were ever to get like sued, I think, somebody could come there or deliver mail to your registered agent's office. It's a legal thing. I'm not sure if it's in every state. I know it is in Pennsylvania, but I put my registered agent in there. I don't think you have to do that, but they do. It's nice that they give you an option to put another address in there. Once you have all that, go ahead and press next. Okay, so the last thing you're really going to have to enter is stuff about your business. Again, industry and revenue. And basically the category of industry you're in, the type of industry, brief description of your business, your website. It says here, these questions are confusing. I don't really understand why they ask you, but just how you're planning to use your Azlo account. I think I have some of my answers in here. So retail and commerce, clothing, accessories. Again, it's going to depend based on what you have. But simple things, right? We sell clothes online, the name of the website, direct depositing sales and making payments to vendors. Just simple stuff, whatever you're going to end up using the account for. I think that's what they're looking for there, just so you're not like, I guess, a spammer or whatever the case may be. They're going to ask you for annual estimated revenue, what percentage of your sales come from online, come from cash, do you deposit cash, deposit checks, receive wires, and how often you do those types of things. And the important thing to remember here, and I'll just sprinkle this in if you happen to not know this, is Azlo is a completely online bank. So what that means is there is no easy way to get cash into Azlo. For instance, if you run a business and you get $100 in cash for a payment, there's not really a good way to take that physical money and put it into Azlo. That is why I wouldn't recommend this for somebody that does a lot of cash business, because you're going to have to get checks, or you're going to have to, I think you can get money orders. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. We can look at some features and stuff like that of Azlo. That might be a good thing I'll put the link in the description of more information directly on it. I'm kind of trying to show the process, but the point is that, you're going to need a brick and mortar. I'll quick anecdote here. I had PNC at one point, and I was putting money, I would put cash into PNC and then you could transfer it to Azlo. That's a thing, but it kind of takes away from the idea. I like to have consolidation and all my stuff in one place. So that is just a bit, and that is a reason I think that they kind of ask you these questions, right? So how often do you deposit cash, deposit checks, receive wires? Those are pertinent things to how you're going to use your account, and if this is really a good fit for you. I think ultimately, I don't know if they would deny you, but there's just some things to think about there. But I assume if you're interested in online banking, you kind of already know some of those things. And like I said, I'll link to some more feature-rich documentation in the description of this video. But regardless, once you're all done with that, you just press the confirm that your business is not, all those different things there, and you have all the information in there, and that's correct. And then you go ahead and press next. And this is one of the final steps. So they are going to ask you for your photo identification to verify all of the stuff that you put in about yourself previously in those first steps. So you're going to have to go ahead and put in a picture of your photo ID. And then they're also going to ask you for your formation documents. So in my case, it was an LLC, so it was their certificate of organization. If you just have a copy of that, PDF or whatever, you can pop it in there, and then you go ahead and press next. The last step is really just like the paperwork portion of it. You have to go through and press the check marks in both of these things to agree to all of their terms. You can read all of that. I didn't read all of that, but you can if you'd like, and then go ahead and press next. A little pop-up is going to come up. It's going to ask you to one last time to go over everything and agree to everything. It's going to have a little check mark next to your name that you're going to have to signify, basically your signature, I suppose, and then press submit application. And once you've done that, there'll be a little animation, submitting application, doing a couple things. And at this point, every single time, so I've opened 4, maybe 5 of these Azlo accounts for different entities that I have, and every single time it went to this status. I was never automatically approved. I don't know if it's different at, around this time, but just prepare to have your application status be in review. And then they get back to you pretty quickly. You'll get an email saying something like your application is in review. And then normally, I believe within a week, probably less than that, you'll have another email that says, congratulations, you have congratulations, you have been your bank account has been opened. So that is terrific. So again, congratulations. Once you get that email, you have a bank account with Azlo, and you can press that link right in the email there to go ahead and get started. It's just going to take you over to the login page, which we will shoot over to now, and I will give you the live updated version as of December 2020, what the platform looks like, and we'll just run through it. We'll go through it as somebody that has an account, somebody that presumably doesn't have an account, just to get a flavor of what you're kind of looking at before you go through this whole process, because again, I think that that's valuable. So let's get into that. Okay, so a very important thing that I've gotten tons of questions on from people that ask me about Azlo is this first step here when you log into your account. Generally, I'm almost positive every single time somebody makes a new account with Azlo, they ask you this question as soon as you log in, and it's, are you ready to fund your account, and how would you like to do so? Now, we're all familiar with linking a bank account. You could link a personal bank account at a brick and mortar bank or wherever you do banking with and just bring the money in that way. Obviously, that takes a little time. You can do a transfer or a direct deposit via actual, ACH transfer with routing and bank account numbers. You can do all that sort of stuff. Or you can deposit a check. They have mobile deposit via your phone with Google Play or on the App Store. This first thing here, though, this fund with a debit card right here. This is the thing that a lot of people get kind of confused over. And my understanding of it, and I'm assuming it reigns true when you open an account, is it's a real-time transaction where you give Azlo your debit card information, just like you would purchase anything online, and you tell them an amount, and they charge your debit card that amount. So let's play a game and say, for instance, here, and you can see here that it says $10 minimum, $1,000 maximum. So let's say that you open this new account, and on your first day, you want to instantly deposit $500 from your debit account, from your checking account, using your debit card. So instantly, right? That's what we're talking here. And you go ahead and you put in your debit card and you put in, I want to deposit $500, and that's it. And it says in the verbiage there, this real-time funding option is only available once for your first deposit only, right? That's not necessarily the case. Again, I don't know, I can't speak if they've changed that, but the way that it worked, and I'm assuming the way that it still works, you fund it one time and it's free. So it's kind of like a gift for opening a new account and getting funds in there quickly. So you go ahead, you put all your information in, you'd say $500, and then boom, $500 ends up in your account. You get charged for that from your personal debit account or whatever, and then that's great. You have that in there. Now, the caveat to that, and there is something that I might touch on here in a bit, it's called Azlo Pro. That's like their pro program for you get less fees on different things like that. But this is one of the big things about that. Moving forward, after this initial deposit, you are going to have to pay if you want to do that. So for instance, I think it's something like 2%, something along those lines. And we'll look at it when we get into the platform here. But that is the caveat. You can't consistently do that because they're getting charged for that credit card processing fee. So my recommendation, all of that aside, is if you'd like to get money in quickly, if you have that option, if it says for free and it's not charging you any fee, throw some money in there because it's going to be in there right away and you're not going to have that option again. So that is just kind of an explanation of what that is. So now we'll look at more of the platform and all the different features there. Okay, so here we are, the brand new updated UI of Azlo. This is real and functioning account here that we are in, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to check out all the different features, all the things that it has to offer. And honestly, it's a pretty concise platform. There's not a ton of bells and whistles. I'm in love with the UI itself because it's clean and it's easy to understand. It's not like any of these old-timey banks where the software is just terrible and the platform is clunky. So let's just kind of go through and get our feet wet with what exactly we're looking at here on the dashboard and the other pages of the platform in general. So let's just work from the top to the bottom of the home page and continue as we go. So the first thing you have is a little box up here that is your business checking account itself. It shows you your available money. If you click that, it'll go to your history, which again, a lot of times you can find several ways to get to the same thing. If you click up here, or if you click in this history box, it's kind of all going to go. It's your recent transactions. It's your whole history log of everything that you've done. It's a really good way to obviously check on everything everything that you're doing. One thing I want to talk about real quick is this refer a friend link up here. And I'll put that in the description of this video, so if you'd like to check that out. I don't think that they actually have a referral program. I mentioned in the video a few months ago that they had something called Founders Circle, and I was interested in that. I don't think that they have that, which is interesting because the platform is still growing, but they do have the refer a friend thing. Not sure if it does anything. Regardless, though, if you find value in this video and want to click that, I will put that in the description. They have this little ticker here where there's a couple different messages and just all sorts of stuff. Obviously, if they update terms and conditions and stuff like that, they might show that there. Nothing too crazy. Invoices, we'll touch on that in a little bit, but you can do invoices from this platform. It's not something that I do. I actually use QuickBooks for that and different softwares and websites and stuff like that. But you can do invoicing straight from Azlo. Like I said, we'll take a look. Maybe we'll do a little sample invoice just to kind of look at the feature set. And then down here you have payments, which again is just kind of another log to see transfers in and transfers out. If we scroll down to the bottom, there's some other good stuff. First thing is integrations. So you can see Square, Stripe, and Intuit QuickBooks, things that you might be already using, you might be familiar with at least. And I don't, again, use these right now. As you can see, they're not connected. I do use QuickBooks. I have used Stripe in the past. I haven't used Square, but they're all payment processors. You can kind of, do different things. And again, Intuit with bookkeeping, QuickBooks, and stuff like that. But what is interesting is I'm looking at this, and it looks like you can view Square payments activity from your Azlo dashboard. Now, it's a little confusing to me, and I can't speak on it specifically, but if you do use one of these services and you'd like to connect it, you could do so. Azlo is very friendly with the connections that it makes, whether it's banks or other services like this. The interesting thing to me, though, is I would be interested to know how much more information they give you when you connect Square or Stripe within this dashboard here. It would be nice, but at the same time, I think the separation would kind of be a good thing as well. The only thing that comes to my head is, if you're getting Stripe information from Stripe to your bank account, payouts and things like that, you would think that you're already seeing that in your history. So I can't speak to that, but just know that if you use those things and you'd like to connect them, you can. Last thing down here at the bottom is shortcuts, so you can add a contact or you can do like a linked account and stuff like that. Basically, it just gives you an option to, again, add a contact, put it down there, just quick access to things. I like it. It's clean, it's simple, but it gives you a lot of versatility in everything that you're doing. So if we come back to the dashboard now and we take a look at the header, we'll go over to the second tab, which is account. And again, you can see, to echo, it's a very concise platform. It gives you your transaction history, your payments history, your transfers history, and a calendar of any upcoming payments or things like that. Again, I don't use this in that manner to schedule things. I more just use it as a bank account, but you can do all of those things if you wish. If we pop back over to the Transfers tab, there's a little thing down here that says give read-only access to your account, try Azlo Pro. That's one of the features, and we might as well go ahead and take a look at what Azlo Pro gives you right now. So if we go ahead and click on try Azlo Pro, it's going to come up with this little screen that says upgrade to Azlo Pro. You get a 14-day free trial, $10 a month after that. Now, I'm going to put a personal anecdote in here before we even read these things. And the reason that I would recommend, or the reason that I chose to use Azlo over a PNC or any other brick and mortar business account, or really other online banks as well, is zero fees. Now, they're obviously giving you something here, and we'll go through these real quick. But again, it's tough for me. It's a real tough decision for me to, and I know it's only $10 a month, but I just didn't like the fees. I didn't like the caveats to saying, oh, you need to have certain balances and things along those lines. So what do they give you? They give you unlimited envelopes, which is, again, if you use that to manage out your money, that's kind of cool because you can have multiple accounts within accounts if you look at it that way. Automatic allocations, so you decide how much funds you can allocate to your envelopes. That's kind of an interesting feature. Advanced invoicing, if you use something else for invoicing, that's not going to help. It would depend, though, how your workflow is. Reduced instant transfer fees, that's interesting. We will check that out here in a second. But again, I think it's maybe 2% to 1%. But again, if you're not using too much instant transfers, these are all obviously personal basis. It's going to depend on how you run your business. Account access, so you grant your accountant or bookkeeper read-only access to your Azlo checking so they can manage your finances. That is interesting, but for me personally, I use QuickBooks and my accountant has access to that. Not really sure why they would need to have access to your direct checking account unless you're using it for all-in-one bookkeeping. Azlo University, it looks like they have a whole library of things that you could do. I would argue that that should just be for free. I don't really like their model there, but that's okay. And then expanded support. So a dedicated phone line to your support, that might be worth it. I don't know exactly, but every time I've called support in the past, it's been a pretty good process, but we'll see how they grow. Again, my thoughts on Azlo Pro and my thoughts on this feature set here. Some cool things, really going to depend on your personal situation. For me, doesn't make any sense because I try to move away from fees, and I have other things that are doing all of this for me. In a sense, I have different services that are providing this. The one important thing though is two important things. One, I'm just really excited to see where Azlo goes because it does sound like they're expanding. The second thing is basically just kind of a parlay off of that. Things like Azlo University, things like something like this right here. To give my opinion on this, the account access thing, this almost seems like they're going to try to move more towards a full all-in-one package where it's a bank. You can also do bookkeeping, you can do invoices. That's very interesting. Obviously, they have some of those features already. I'm just excited to see how it goes. But that's Azlo Pro. You can decide if that makes sense for you or not. Okay, so now let's go over the Invoices tab, the third one on the header here. This is where all your invoices would show up. I don't have any, but we can go ahead and we can press and create an invoice just to kind of get an idea. The first thing you're going to have to do is create a contact. So let's go ahead and just walk through that process. Enter a name, so it's a business or a person. That's kind of interesting. That's a nice feature. We'll say John's store. I don't know. And we will press save. So now I have that in there as a contact. We can do their bank info and we can do mail a check. And this just brought up another interesting point that I want to mention. There are no business checks with Azlo. So when you get Azlo, there's no option to have a checkbook. If you're used to that, it's probably going to be very strange. If you're used to having a business checking account with a PNC or something, and you have business checks where you can just write one up and mail it to somebody or send it, hand it, whatever, for payment, you can't do that. That is just, I don't know why, but there is documentation on that. I'll try to leave a link in the description, but if you literally just, Google Azlo checks, they don't offer checkbooks. Don't ask me why. It's a little strange that they just don't want you to have them, and they even say that you can't go out and buy a checkbook with the custom checks with the credentials on it, the account and routing. You can't do that. So what they have instead is kind of what we're looking at here. I think if you had the bank information to make a digital payment to John's store, if they gave you their routing and account number, which I don't understand how that would happen, but if they did that, then you could put that in there, you can press save, and you can do the invoice or however you want to do it and get that all transferred and go. The other thing though is a mailing address to mail a check. So if you went in here and you put in the mailing address and you did all that, then you would have the ability to, I believe Azlo would just kind of mail that to them. I don't know exactly how that process works. Like I said, I don't use it. It might be something to kind of go over with them, but I know for a fact that they don't offer checkbooks, which is kind of strange. But once you do that, you'd go through the invoicing process here, and let's just make up something and see if we can kind of do that there. Okay, so I just went ahead and put in a completely random address. I apologize if this is your address and you're watching. Sorry about that, but let's press save. So now we have a mailing address that we can go to, and that's associated with that contact. Let's go ahead and press done. It gives us some more options here. We can send bank payments 2 to 3 days. We can send an invoice, or we can mail a check up to 7 days. Let's go ahead and just kind of take a look at what these are. Send a bank payment. It's going to ask for those routing and account number credentials. We obviously don't have those, but we can do that. We send an invoice, and this is kind of interesting. This is where we're actually getting to the invoice thing. We were kind of taking care of the account and the contact stuff rather before. But if we go here and we could type in any sort of item, I don't know, a hat, I don't know. The unit price, the quantity, we'll just say $5. We'll say 1, and then it does the addition for us. We press continue, and then it gives you just invoice items. This is kind of interesting. It seems streamlined, but seems pretty straightforward. And you can do upon receipt, whatever payment terms. You can put the email address of who is receiving that. You could also get a copy, maybe add a note or two. And then at the bottom, you have the accepted payment options. So you can either get a digital transfer to your account, or you can get a check in the mail to your address. And then down at the bottom, it gives you obviously the options again to connect Stripe or Square or PayPal, which is cool actually. That is very interesting. It looks like you can process via those as opposed to the digital transfer, just more payment options. So that is actually a really neat feature that not sure if I would use, but is definitely something worth noting. I went ahead and put a fake email in there just to get this preview invoice link to light up. And it's going to ask us if we agree to our online terms and conditions. I think you have to say this. I think you have to press agree, obviously. And I've said that earlier on in the invoicing. And then here we go. So it's a pretty decent looking invoice, right? I mean, it's actually a solid process, and I'm pretty happy with it. Again, I don't know if I'm going to use it, but if you want to invoice people via Azlo, you can absolutely do that. You can press send, and it'll send it out. Let's back out of this now and go through some of those other things that we were looking at before. Okay, so if we jump all the way back out to the main invoices page, what we're actually going to do is we're going to press this big button up here that says move money, which is kind of a way to look at a bunch of different things again at once. There's a million different ways to get to everything in this platform. You can pay a contact, you can transfer money, you can pay a bill. All of those are very similar to what we were already doing with the invoicing and the transfers and everything like that. It shows us some of our contacts now. This right here is where you would see the instant transfers. You can link your card right here. Alternatively, you can link a bank account down here for just regular ACH transfer over 3 to 5 days using the account and routing number. If we jump back up here to the top where it says pay a bill, it says add a biller, and then you put in the biller's information and you have the name on the account and the account number. It'll add the biller. I believe what this will do is if a bill comes in to some degree, something like that, you can pay it just straight from the platform. It's another nice feature to have and kind of keep everything separate. The money coming in, the money going out, invoicing, paying vendors, all that stuff. It's a really nice package. Again, if you have a use for all these things, you can really, seems like you can roll a lot of things up in one, just in the Azlo platform here. So if we X out of this and we go over to the last piece of the puzzle here, we have a couple things. Again, it gives you the option to upgrade account over here in the settings. And then we have account profile, manage cards, agreements and documents, statements, integrations, and manage users. Again, some of these things we've already covered. We'll go through just a couple of them just to give you an idea of the settings you have and just different other pieces of it. If we click on account profile here, this is where you're going to find all your information about your account. You can obviously update some of these things, and it just gives you some information. For instance, the account number, your logo for our invoices and such, more information about your business, your title, all the stuff that you entered in your application will show up here. And again, some of those things can be changed. For instance, your alternate address, your mobile phone for verification, email, personal address, physical business address, everything is on here. Pretty standard, but just wanted to make sure that you knew, especially the account and routing number. That those are things that is sometimes, can be hard to find. Always got to know where to look for those. If we go over here and we press manage cards, the card is pretty nice, I have to say. I didn't get the unboxing footage, but it is pretty cool. Comes in a nice little package, and I like the look and feel. And it has the chip, obviously, so everything up to snuff there. No problems whatsoever with that. When you get it, you're going to come in here and you're going to be able to activate it. You can turn it on or off. You can request a new card if it gets damaged or stolen or something like that. And you're also going to have a PIN, so you can reset the PIN via here. Again, nice interface. You don't really have to call and talk to anybody. Everything can pretty much be done right from the platform online here. And then you have statements. It'll give you a list of all your past statements that you can just look at in PDF form, download. Just gives a nice thing. And then I guess create account and access. I'm assuming they'd have you upgrade to Pro, but that is again a nice feature that is at least included if you'd like to pay for it. And then agreements and documents, all the stuff that you agree to, just a nice record of that, which is always good to have on hand. And then again, more things that we've seen in other places. Integrations, you can manage all those from here. And managing users. I want to click on this create account access. Well, I'm going to click on it, and again, it gives you the option to do that. So that is interesting. How about users? Yep. So it looks like you don't have any other users per se. You just have the accountant, and again, you have to upgrade in order to get that. So that is pretty much it, I want to say. There's no real, I thought maybe it was you could have somebody else, another account, another like an assistant or something, but apparently that's not really the case. But regardless, that kind of does it here with the whole platform overview. Okay guys, well I know this was probably a long video, but I wanted to make sure it was comprehensive and gave you the full experience, because again, I like to know when I'm going to things what is going to kind of be the case from the whole application standpoint, and then ultimately what you're going to get for applying for a bank like this, and you know, trusting Azlo, a relatively newer concept and company, with your money and your business and all that sort of stuff. But I hope it helped. If you have any questions that I didn't answer in this overview and you know, review and everything like that, please leave a comment down below. Hit me up on social media or anything like that. I am always free to talk about finance and entrepreneurship. I try to make content about that all the time, so I'd be more than happy to chat about it. But with that, again, I hope that this helped, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.